Okay, thank you everyone for being so patient with us. We'll go ahead and get started. My name is Matt Sinovic. I'm the Executive Director of Progress Iowa. Myself, along with 18 other organizations, are part of the coalition called Raise the Wage Iowa. And we are absolutely thrilled that you're here to rally in support of raising Iowa's minimum wage. We're here today because we know that Iowa's economy is not working for everyone. The deck seems stacked in favor of those at the top at the expense of everyone else. And that's why we are here to call for a raise in the minimum wage. Now, a lot has happened since Iowa last raised the minimum wage. Does anyone here have an iPhone? Raise your hand if you do. Okay. The last time Iowa passed a minimum wage increase, this device did not exist. The iPhone did not exist. So we are talking about 7 long years since Iowa's low-wage workers have had a raise, and that is the longest stretch in the country. No one's low-wage workers have waited longer for a raise than in the state of Iowa. Something else that has happened is that Iowa has fallen behind. In 2007, when we passed a minimum wage increase, that was 2 years before the federal government passed theirs. And they had to catch up to us. But since then, Iowa has fallen behind to the point where 5 out of the 6 of our neighboring states have since increased their minimum wage, and we have a lower minimum wage than Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, Nebraska, and South Dakota. We used to set the trend, and now we are falling far behind, and that has to stop. So we have several great speakers here today. And the first is Logan Buckley, a student at the University of Northern Iowa and a member of the Americans for Democratic Action. So I'll turn it over to Logan.
Hello, everyone. Like you said, my name is Logan Buckley. I'm a junior public relations major at the University of Northern Iowa, where I'm also the president of UNI Americans for Democratic Action. And I'm here today to share with you my experiences of being a low-wage worker. This past summer, I went back home to Spencer, and I was in an effort to save money and make money. And I worked over 40 hours a week, full-time, the whole summer. And due to an unexpected car repair, I was wiped out by the end. And that's the reality a lot of people face, not just students. But students it happens a lot to them as well. So what we need to do is raise the minimum wage, because if the wage is raised, these accidents aren't going to change people's lives dramatically the way they did mine. So we need to work to raise the minimum wage. And this bill is a good start, but it's just going to be a gradual to $8.25, $8.75. That's not going to change the outcomes. That wouldn't have helped me in my situation. We need to raise the minimum wage to at least $10.10. And next we have Jan Lay, right? La.
Thank you, Logan. We go from the youngest to the oldest. My name's Jan Lau. I'm president of the Iowa Alliance for Retired Americans. Iowa seniors are one of the fastest growing segments of this state's population. Projections indicate that in the next 20 years, Iowans over 65 are going to make up 1/5 of the state's population. In 2013, Social Security provided benefits to 422,005 Iowa retired workers, which is 2/3 of the state's total security beneficiaries. This number is increasing as baby boomers retire, creating a larger population living on fixed incomes. Now, you may wonder why people who are retired are worried about the minimum wage. Well, after a lifetime of work, a lot of Iowa seniors are really struggling to meet the expenses of everyday living because they don't have adequate resources and income. What we did last year as an alliance is put together this booklet called A Snapshot, and it's about Iowa seniors living on the edge. These are central Iowa interviews of real people who are struggling because they don't get enough in Social Security because they didn't make much during their lifetime. they made minimum wage, or maybe less even in some cases. And now they're struggling because they need to find a job, and the jobs that they can find pretty much only pay minimum wage and don't have good hours. Economic security means having enough income to meet your basic needs without public or private assistance. Public supports, especially food support programs and energy assistance, are critical to helping many elders address the gap between income and economic security needs. So Social Security that's based on a lifetime of working for a minimum wage is just not adequate to meet the costs of housing, transportation, health care, which is a major expense for the elderly, food, and miscellaneous items. So many seniors have to find jobs to supplement their retirement income, and the only jobs available to them are usually low pay and limited hours. So therefore, the Iowa Alliance for Retired Americans believes that an increase in wages, especially the minimum wage, to $10.10 an hour is very important to begin to address this issue of economic security in retirement. Now this booklet is being distributed today to every legislator, so you will all have that to look at. It's based on a grant from Prairie Meadows, so it only deals with central Iowans right now, but we have the information for every county in the state on what people need, what seniors need to meet their everyday expenses, and it's different for every county. So with that, I will turn it over to Ken Sager, who will lead us next. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, and thank you all for coming and expressing an interest in an issue that's very critical to Iowans. We just sat through a subcommittee meeting with the Iowa Senate where a unanimous recommendation to pass a bill on, I think it's kind of historic. We had 3 of the members, both parties, agreed that 875 is a good number, and I think it is a good number. It's not the best number, but it is a good number. I think that 1010 is clearly where we need to be in this state, and we need to get on that road, and on that road soon. Many people think, well, you know, why do we need to increase the minimum wage? That's just your kids working at, you know, a grocery store or something like that. You know, the reality clearly is not that. Most people in Iowa who are on minimum wage are working people who are over the age of 20. Most of the people don't work full time. When we talk about minimum wage earners making approximately $15,000 a year, that assumes that you're working 40 hours a week. And most of you know minimum wage workers. Some of them probably living in your basement, they're your kids. They're not working 40 hours a week. And it's not kids. It's adults trying to earn money to take care of their families, to feed their children. We can do better than that. Des Moines Register poll from last year said 65% of Iowans want to increase the minimum wage. That's a pretty big number. That's more than the folks who voted last election, regrettably. We absolutely need to get behind this effort to push the minimum wage up. It's not just for kids. It's not just to help seniors. It's to help our economy, because these people who get this increase aren't stashing their money that they're getting in the Cayman Islands. They're putting it in the community. They're paying rent. They're paying their bills. They're being contributing members of our society. The conversation that occurred down the hall here in the subcommittee hearing talked about putting people in livable wages. Well, whether it's $8.75 an hour or $10.10 an hour, I don't see that as money that will support a family. And that's really what we need to be striving to do here in this state. The Iowa Federation of Labor supports House File 71, which raises it to $10.10. We applaud the Senate's actions and hope to help us drive working Iowans back into the middle class. With that, Sue Dinsdale.
Thank you to our speakers. I think we can all agree that we need to raise the wage in Iowa. There are a couple things you can do. You can go to our website. Is it listed right here? We have a petition on there that you can sign. I'd like to do a little informal survey here. If you or someone you know has lost their home in the last 7 years, raise your hand. Yep. How about if you have had your children move in with you, or you're a child that has moved in with their parents, raise your hand. If you've had a raise in the last 7 years, raise your hand. Yeah. What about all of the thousands of Iowans who have gone 7 years without a raise in their wage, who have had to move in with their parents, who have lost their home, who are struggling to pay for daycare, to get to work, to put food on the table? It's not right, and we need to do something about it. So I think we all need to talk to our representatives. We need to sign the petition that we can deliver to them. We need to raise the wage. Do we have any? Do we have any questions for our speakers? Anybody? Comments? If not, get out there and talk to your representatives. Tell them, come on, 1010, 875, something. Thank you.